Now that you've flown your plane at least 10 times, it's time to graph your results. Graphs are just a way to show your data visually, as a picture, as lines, as columns, etc. Today we're going to use a graph that's called a line plot. I've actually included a pretty interesting link for those who would like to find out more about line plots. It's on the slides. They are an excellent graph when you're trying to show how often things are happening. I've done an example for you, which is about to take over this slide, but I've also included that example in the slides for you to look at for longer. You'll need to look very closely at this example. The distances flown run along the bottom in the intervals you marked on the ground. For instance, if you mark 50 centimetre intervals on the ground, you'll use 50 centimetre intervals on the paper. I've used 2 squares for each 50 centimetres for mine, but you'll have to decide what works best for you and what's going to fit on the page. You now need to add your data to this graph. As shown on my example, each cross represents a different flight. You mark a cross right on the line of the mark for each distance flown. If it flew the same distance more than once, you mark that above the previous cross. For instance, my plane flew 3.5 metres 3 times, that's why there's 3 crosses above 3.5 metres, and it flew 4 metres twice, which is why there are 2 marks above 4 metres. The next thing to do now is to make sense of what your data is telling you and find out what is the most likely distance your plane will fly. Look for the distances with the most crosses. Is there a cluster of answers or is it all completely spread out? From my small data pool, I can say that my plane will most likely fly between 3.5 and 4 metres each time. It could fly up to 6 metres, but I can rely on it flying 3.5 to 4 metres most of the time. If yours is more spread out, what does that tell you about your plane? Is it a consistent plane? Can you say what it is most likely to fly? Or is it really just going to be a complete fluke each time? Please record this short little reflection in the slides below. I've included one last box on the slides for you to reflect on the whole process. What was something that surprised you about your plane? Were your results what you thought they would be? What impact did the launch height have, the paper have? And you might comment on any other factors you found interesting about this process. We've now come to the end of the Ultimate Paper Plane Challenge. You can now really confidently say, I can make a paper plane that goes this long every time and reap in the street cred and reputation that comes with that. Now all that's left for this week of maths is to do 7 pages of long multiplication and division, 15 pieces of algebra and survived. Incredible. But seriously, that's the end of our unit. We're all very, very, very impressed with the maths work you've done throughout the entire remote learning and really proud with the attitude and the effort that you guys have put in. We'll see you back at school on Tuesday.